Hey, welcome. This is Donnie Bedore. I'm with the Biz Life Podcast. We're here talking about the business life, not the busy life. So I have a very special guest on the show today, and can't wait to introduce you to him and let you hear his story and some things that he has to share today. So I have the one and only Andrew Titus. Okay. So Andrew is the president of Fully Promoted. Do you have any other titles other than that? The king?
Just that right now. Fully promoted president. I'll take it.
All right. I love it. So some of the audience, they might not know what Fully Promoted is, right? But we'll get into that. So I just want to, again, introduce yourself, give us, 30-second, minute about yourself. And we'll go from there.
Sure. Happy to help, Denny.
Yes, sir.
Donnie. So what I will tell you, everyone, again, Andrew Titus here. I work as our president of Fully Promoted. The business Fully Promoted hits very close to home for me. My father, Ray, started Fully Promoted and United Franchise Group 37 years ago now for United Franchise Group, 24 years ago for Fully Promoted. Grew up in the business. First job was 10 years ago, cleaning this building that I'm standing in. Done a lot of different roles since. Was a regional manager for the company based in Birmingham, Alabama. Moved to New York City, was there for about a year and a half as a regional manager for the company. Then moved to Florida as an RVP, regional vice president. Was the youngest in the history of the company to win MVP of the sales team for the regional vice president.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then was promoted to be our EVP of development, where I manage and was overseeing the regional vice presidents in the field. Did that for about a year and a half. And then my father knocked on my door one day and offered me to be president of Fully Promoted. Wow. Donnie, I thought about it for about 5 seconds and then said, yeah, let's do it. And it's been an awesome last year as the president for Fully Promoted. And on a personal note, love basketball, big Miami Heat fan.
Okay.
So love music. Piano is my passion.
Really?
As well.
I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah. And then also just got engaged 2 months ago to my wonderful fiance, Taylor Gregory. Yes. And it's a funny story because it kind of involves some business dynamics as well, because we met here at the company.
Okay. So
me.
37 years ago. So you must have been, you probably weren't even born then.
I was not even born. No.
Wow.
I was not.
Okay. Very cool. So yeah, pretty much grew up in the business per se, right? So very cool. So is this your dad over on your right shoulder? Who's that picture behind you?
No, so that's actually Gary Rockwell.
Okay.
He was my father's mentor.
Okay.
He passed away a couple years back, but they named an award after him called the Rock Award.
Okay.
And basically what it is, it's given to a salesperson each year who shows consistency. It's kind of a rock for the sales team. Also loves to mentor people and kind of give back and help the whole team out. And it's one of the coolest awards I think I've ever won. And so have that one hanging on behind here.
There you go. Very good. Excellent. All right. Well, thanks for, getting everybody up to speed on who you are and everything. And, it's one thing I promise the audience is I'm going to try to find the best people that I know that are in business, good at their craft. And really the idea of this podcast was to give back to other entrepreneurs and business people, just some tangible tools, tricks, tips, maybe some ideas, inspiration that will keep them going. There's many people that listen here that aren't part of like a large franchise group or a large, networking group or something like that. So they could use this podcast really to stay connected to other business entrepreneurs and just glean some good information out of it. So we're really looking to dig in to your journey. And, there's something special. The reason I really had you in mind, there's something special about your story that really connects with my family, because one thing, whenever we were at United Franchise Group buying Gray's Craze and Fully Promoted, the story behind it, right? That y'all or a family work together? I don't think we said this, but you have a couple brothers that are in the business as well too, right? Do you just have the two brothers?
Two brothers and three cousins, and of course my father in the business every day.
Right. So a lot of family dynamics, right, within the business, and it sort of resonates with me as well too, because with our business life journey, I guess you could say, started with our martial arts schools, and so with my two boys and my daughter being on the mat with us training, whenever they turned 15 and 16, they wanted some money. The only way they can get money from me is if they worked. So I said, okay, well, if you want some money, then let's get to work and help me out with this business. And so they sort of just stuck around and went from, pushing the broom, sweeping, janitor, and then actually teaching, being, head, running the school and things like that. So that really resonated with me, y'all's story. And so just like to dig into maybe that dynamic and a little bit about the legacy, right? Because one thing I know, and I'd like to get your take on this, one thing that I've seen is people start businesses for many different reasons. One thing that I heard your dad tell me whenever we were there was you have to keep the end in mind. And I'm sure you've heard that probably more than once or twice, right? So let's dig into that, right? And let's keep the end in mind. What are some things that, you see as people are starting businesses, right? Their reasoning, why, right?
Yeah. Well, I will tell you, it's something, being a part of the family business, again, can relate obviously with first job cleaning the building. I remember 10 years ago, my father, I was a senior in high school at the time, and my father would send me home, or worse, he would make me work the rest of the day if I didn't shave or come in with my shirt tucked in, like those little things, right? Okay. Just kind of instilling into us discipline in the business and always earning it every day. Nice. But I think people go into business for a lot of different reasons. It could be to have control their own destiny. It could be to be their own boss. They're tired of answering to someone. They want to answer themselves. Mm-hmm. I love the fact that, for us, we can work with people in different situations every day. Yeah. Okay. And we see different things every day, right? Sure. Whether it's someone who wants to just work for themselves, who maybe has, 4 or 5 other businesses that they're running, they're just adding this to their portfolio. Mm-hmm. So we deal with a lot of different people coming from a lot of different walks of life. And we have to, try to relate the best we can and ultimately give them the best service we can too.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So, when did you realize that you wanted to be in the family business, right? And you got any funny story about, getting into the family business?
Well, I definitely knew it was something in the back of my mind for forever. Obviously, since we were growing up at the dinner table, he would talk about it, and it was always interesting. But funny story for me is I actually went to school initially for acting and directing.
Oh, theater. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I went there initially and did that because my dad always said, follow your passions as long as you can, and then you always have the business to fall back on, right? Yep. If you don't want it, if it doesn't work out, you can always fall back. That was his vision. Yeah. When his dad told him when he was joining the business, he wanted to be a professional basketball player.
Oh, okay.
And he took that as far as he could, and ultimately he wasn't good enough or quick enough or could jump high enough to make the NBA, and so he got into franchising. Right. Yeah. So same thing with me ultimately, and I came to that realization during college, and ultimately became a business major, a dual major, marketing management, and then. Still at the same time had that itch though to get into performing arts or theater or acting. And so that's one of the reasons why I initially moved to New York City, but moving to New York City, you got to pay for it somehow. So I got a job with the company while in New York City. And the goal was to ultimately do auditions or do meetings for directing on the side. Right. And I'll tell you what, I got started. I did it for about a month working for the company. Never went on one audition, never went on one meeting, and fell in love with the business even more, and haven't looked back.
Yeah. I definitely would imagine, the passion that you felt your dad had and stuff, right? That was just, it ingrained into you. So, whenever you were starting the business, was it, I'm not sure, because I talked to you and I talked to your brother. One of y'all, your dad had just like dropped you off one time. Was that you?
that was AJ.
AJ. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that story was hilarious. Can you go ahead and share it? I know it's AJ, but go ahead and share it because it's hilarious.
So I think my dad was still doing a trial or error. I like to say I got the best of his parenting because I'm the youngest.
Okay.
But AJ is the oldest.
Yeah.
And he said, AJ's thinking he's going to train him for this day. And my dad said, I'm going to teach you how to sell signs because obviously first business was Signorama.
Okay.
And so they get in a car. AJ's thinking this is going to be a great father and son bonding experience where, the sage wisdom is going to be poured onto him and he's going to give him all the key lines. And they're in the car. And my dad goes, all right, get out of the car, AJ. And he gets out of the car. And my dad shuts the door and he locks the door. He rolls down the window and says, okay, go sell signs. And he drives away. And he drove away. And AJ had to figure it out. I mean, but, to me, I love that story too, because it's, again, we've all had our moment, like that with our dad and getting it. Yeah. At the end of the day, what he was trying to tell us and tell AJ in that moment is it's about work ethic. Yeah. It's about putting numbers in your favor. And it doesn't matter what your last name is. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter who you are. At the end of the day, you need to work hard and earn it every single day.
Man, I love it. I absolutely love that. Yeah. Very cool.
So good one. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So, one thing, with my kids being in the business, and I know there's some entrepreneurs that start business for maybe leaving a legacy to family, right? I've heard that quite a bit. How do you honor, the legacy that your father started with the company and the founding principles? And how do you also sort of like implement your own vision in there, right? I mean, still honoring what was given to you, not say given to you, but set up, I guess you would say, the structure was set up, and then, massaging your way into it. Am I making that clear?
Yeah,
okay.
You are. Me and AJ and Austin like to say, and our job is to not mess this up. It was definitely set up. And our job again is to continue to earn it every single day.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I think we spent so much time with him, especially now in the office, where we kind of know what he would do.
Nice.
And the good part is now he's still obviously extremely involved in the business every day. He's in every day still. So, it's ultimately, he gives us, we've been around him, so we know the decisions he would do, but at the same time, he gives us the freedom to make our own decisions, especially those of us who are presidents of the companies.
Right.
For myself, I know for AJ, with Signorama and Austin for Cannoli Kitchen now, his whole mindset is he'll give advice, but at the end of the day, we're the president. We have to make the decision. Right. We make the decision, even if it's the one he agrees with or different. It's our decision, and we have that freedom to make that decision, and we have to live with the consequences if there are, right? Yeah. And so that's been his style for us is letting us at the end of the day make the decision. And now he'll steer us in the right direction if he really thinks it's not the best one. But at the end of the day, we know a lot of times how he would respond to certain things now.
Yeah, I could definitely hear him asking some questions about the decision, and it's like, okay, if he's asking these questions, then maybe I should steer it this way, right?
Correct.
Am I fleshing that out right?
You are. Those one-on-ones can get a little intense sometimes with questions there. Yeah. So it's all good.
For sure. Yeah. So what I'm hearing, in the story is that, he worked with you for a time, right? Hey, I'm going to show you how to do this, right? And then he walked next to you. He said, let's do this together, right? And then he's like, okay, I want you to go out in front and make those decisions. And then eventually it becomes to hey, I trust you, right? Obviously, I'm going to still inspect and have my hand, feelers out there to make sure things are going well. But that process, does that sound about what you experience?
It does. And we all still have our mentors. Obviously we meet with him regularly every week. Okay. I talk to him every day, but we have our mentors in the business who have been with, outside the family, but who have just been with our company for years. My mentors are Michael White and Jim Butler. Michael's been with us for close to 20 years. Jim Butler's been with my dad now for 33 years now. Right. And so those are my two mentors who I meet with regularly
Nice.
to talk with. So we have the resource obviously of him,
Sure.
but there's so many other throughout the building that can help. I think of, Jim Tatum, JT, who's in Greenville, South Carolina. He's actually a Transworld franchisee now, but was my dad's first employee 38 years ago now.
Yeah.
So, he's a great mentor to me as well. And,
Nice.
It's having those people, in your life who you can still ask questions to and be a sounding board. And, frankly, the brothers and cousins use each other a lot too to run by decisions. So, but it is about trust at the end of the day. And that's I think the best thing about a family business is you do trust each other the most. They're family. I mean, they're not going anywhere at the end of the day. So that's one of the biggest benefits to a family business.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So family business, right? It can also be some difficult moments, heated moments at the times, right? So, navigating those family dynamics, right? Talking over family business, can sometimes come with unique challenges, right? To say the least. And how do you navigate those family dynamics and remain professional boundaries while working with relatives?
It's tough. I mean, it's tough, especially when you're really close to family.
Right.
You're really close personally with people. You want to be able to deal with them how you would outside of the office. At the same time, there's a difference between family and positions in the office. So, right. And we're all family, right? We all are. My dad has the legacy and has the vision to ultimately pass the business down to family members. And that never changes. We're all equal partners in that side of things. However, there's a difference between roles and responsibility, right, in the day-to-day of the company. And so it's respecting those people and what position they're in and ultimately staying in the lane. Like I report to AJ. AJ's my boss, my oldest brother.
Okay.
So, I can't, sometimes it's hard to deal with AJ as the president versus the older brother, right? But we have an awesome working relationship, and there's a lot of mutual respect there that happens because we're siblings.
Right.
But you have to look at it like he's the president of Starpoint Brands, right?
Yeah.
And how do you respond to that?
Yep, for sure. Yeah, I talked in my first episode, it was sort of a solo episode, and I talked about, having that family dynamic, and it being tough sometimes. You have a heated argument or whatever at work, and then you're, at Thanksgiving, you're like, hey, pass the rolls, right? And,
Well, my mom is so good with that. She tries to keep us completely out of any business talk at the house, which is very, very unsuccessful. But she tries her hardest to do that as well.
Yeah. So my wife and I, Selena, had talked about having a spot on the way home because, it's working with my wife. So we have a railroad tracks moment. We cross the railroad tracks. We just leave everything there.
You're done.
Again, we try to. Sometimes, depends on how heated the day was, right? It may linger to the driveway or something like that. So
sure. I respect that.
Hey, one of the things I find out about entrepreneurs is we're passionate. Right. We're passionate, and it's very difficult sometimes to turn it off as an entrepreneur. Right. And so, it just, sometimes it bleeds over a little bit and you just make the best of it. So.
Totally. And I will tell you too, Donnie, me and my fiance are the same way with that.
Okay.
We try our hardest because, again, she works here. She's our director of marketing for UFG.
Okay.
And we try our hardest to keep it off of dates or, the car. But it's hard, especially when you're super passionate, like you said about it.
Yep. All right. Cool. So tips, a little bit more on the tip side, right? Based on your experience, what advice would you give a business owner who has who are preparing to pass their business, to the next generation, right? So, like, for instance, me, right? My end goal for all the business is to pass them on, where they are being at least ran and owned by, a family member, right? What are some tips on that?
Well, I think number one is let them work in different parts of the business to understand the business as a whole.
Okay.
Have them work different areas to get different experience so they can relate to different employees as well. And that goes to the next thing is make sure that especially the key employees are bought in on the vision as well. Okay. Right? Because sometimes it can come across as, oh, this person is just putting his kid in the role, ultimately they didn't earn it, right? Or they're not qualified enough. I'll tell you, my dad we were so intentional with this that by the time, I was put in the position to be president of Fully Promoted, not one person questioned, was it earned, or was I the best person for it?
Yeah.
Not one person did. So it's making sure the communication is out there to the staff, but also that the person who is the successor is earning it again every day, working the hardest. I don't look at, and me and my brothers and cousins don't look at being a part of the family business as now you have the privilege to take it easy. We look at it as if, okay, now there's more pressure to be successful and there's higher expectations to be successul.
Yeah.
So that's the making sure that mindset is ingrained in the next generation is so important. But I also think having mentors in place, having clear expectations. Again, I like this one the most, that it's not always the oldest who takes over, right? It's not always the oldest. It could be younger ones. So, being patient as well. That was something that my dad also made clear growing up is I don't care how old you are or, how long you've been with the company. Ultimately, it's whoever earns it at the end of the day. And so, I think that's really, really important.
For sure. Definitely. I love that, right? Making them earn it, putting them in different positions where, if there's one aspect of the business, they know it. They don't have to be good at everything, but they definitely need to earn it along the way and know it enough where if they need to step in to run that, then it's a yes, sir, definitely will, and do a good job at it.
Totally. And again, you hit the nail on the head. There don't have to be experts on everything. I would not consider myself an expert in accounting by any means. All right. Now I can read P&L. Of course I can. Sure. I can read a balance sheet. I can read a statement of cash flows. Right. I'm proficient in that, but wouldn't say I'm an expert there. Sure. But it's then knowing what your weaknesses are and asking questions to the Todd Newtons, our CFO, to the Haley Whitfields, our controller, to make sure you understand the aspects of it.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So Fully Promoted has seen significant growth. Oh, how many locations do you have underneath you in Fully Promoted?
We have just under 280 worldwide locations.
Worldwide. Okay. So
worldwide.
We're at outside the United States, what countries?
We are. Yeah. So we have 170 in the US.
Okay.
We currently are in Canada.
Nice.
Mexico.
Okay.
We are in UK. We just launched that master partner just last year.
Congrats.
New Zealand and 56 in Australia actually now. So
okay.
Quite a bit in Australia. Canada, we're about 28 I was in Canada.
Okay. Well, if you ever need anybody to go to New Zealand, then give me a call and I'll jump over there and help you out. Okay.
I'll take you up on that.
Yeah. So Fully Promoted has definitely seen a significant growth, especially during your leadership that I've noticed once you took over. What strategies have you implemented to expand the franchise and, ensure its continued success in the competitive marketplace?
Sure. So there's two areas of growth that we look at. Okay. The first is obviously most important, and that's system-wide sales or average unit sales per location, right? How much product and sales our franchisees in the business are selling. Okay. And the key important thing there is to defining who we are, what we do, why people should do business with us. Because a lot of people do what we do at the end of the day. A lot of people sell branded apparel. They sell pens with logos or cups or hats and shirts, whatever, right? A lot of people do what we do. What differentiates us in the marketplace? Real people, real products, or results. Again, people can go online. They could buy stuff online if they want to. That caters more towards B2C. We deal directly with businesses. We're a B2B company that can sit down with someone and ultimately manage their order from start to finish to help them overcome a problem, whether it's employee retention, whether it's acquiring new customers, whether it's morale in their office. We can ultimately solve that problem through branded apparel and promotional products. And so I think, Donnie, it was just kind of taking a step back to finding who we are and then pushing it out through our marketing, which I'm so excited about. The new marketing company, our ad fund just hired, where we're going to be putting in about $500,000 into content creation for our franchisees. And so we're very, very excited about that. Yeah. So that's the first thing, is ultimately growing sales as a brand, our system-wide sales. Yeah. The second thing is in terms of new locations, right? Joining the team. That's the franchise development side of things. And we were able to really, really grow that last year. And I think we're going to continue to do that this year too. To give some perspective, in 2022, we added 11 new locations. In 2023, we added 33 new locations.
Wow.
So we tripled the growth in new franchisees year over year. And my goal for this year is to do 35 to 40 again. But again, it's getting good people at the right time in the right area. That's the important thing for us. And so looking to continue to do that through our recruiting efforts. That's ultimately targeting people on LinkedIn, using recruiting firms to really make sure we get the best candidates who are going to grow our brand and not look at it as a hobby business, but actually a big business for them.
Yeah, without a doubt. What are some of the most valuable lessons that you have learned as a business owner, particularly in context of, taking over the family business, right? If you had to say, hey, these are some golden nuggets that I've learned, right? And you would want to pass them on, right? What would that be?
I would say listen first, speak later. I think sometimes when you've been part of a family business, there's sometimes people in the building assume certain things, which you're like, I don't know how that works. I don't know what that is, right? And so it's listening, asking questions. I think is so important. Don't fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Ask the questions to understand it.
Right. Yep.
You can get by if with being a part of a family business. People will listen to what you say and they'll assume you know everything. Don't be afraid to mess up and make a mistake and ask a question to understand something. That's been kind of my biggest, I would say my most important thing that I've done over the last couple of years is just ask questions, take lots of notes, and don't think you know everything. Don't fake it till you make it.
Yeah. I always say questions are the mother of learning, right? Questions are the mother of learning.
Absolutely. My dad says questions are a sign of intelligence, not a sign of weakness.
True story. Yeah. Yep. So there's a book I read. It's called Good Leaders Ask Great Questions. And I love that book. So
awesome.
Yeah. So Are there any mistakes that you've made along the way that you've learned from, right? I mean, surely dig down deep.
Sure.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Of course, yeah. I mean, there's always mistakes, and hopefully they're not too big mistakes, but you learn from those mistakes, and you hopefully are asking people advice before you make those decisions so you catch them. But ultimately, of course, there's mistakes throughout the day. Especially going back to back meetings. Sometimes I'm in. Today, for example, I have 17 meetings today.
Oh my gosh.
Right,
yeah.
back to back from 7:30 to 7:30 today. You're making quick decisions, and sometimes you don't take a step back and slow down and say, is that what I really want to do? Is that the decision I want to make, instead of just getting it done in a decision? So, that's when you got to be careful, especially when we're busy, and everyone's busy. Everyone's busy. Yep. My biggest pet peeve when someone says, I'm so busy, I'm too busy. Everyone is busy, especially if you own a business or you're running a business. You're slammed. So it's about making sure to take time and prioritize the important things, and don't answer everything right away. Don't answer the decisions right away. There could be more information you need to gather, and more time you need to take to make that decision.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'll tell you, I've really enjoyed this time. One thing that, I just want to, make sure that we give some tangible things to the business owners, right? And, if you had to give, and you've given some great advice so far and some tips and stuff, but if you were to talk to that business owner, right, that's just starting the business, they maybe they bought a franchise from United Franchise Group, or maybe it's a lawn care guy or a roofer or something like that, and they just started. First 90 days, what are some advice that you would give them in starting the business? The first 90 days of business.
Number one, breathe. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on, especially because a lot of our franchisees are first-time business owners. They've never owned a business. And so it's okay if you don't know everything from day one.
Yeah.
Breathe, ask questions, and sell. Sales cures all issues at the end of the day. You can always there's no excuse to always market your business. You can always go out and introduce your business and your concept to new people and to spread the word about your company. So sales cures all problems. Sell.
Okay, so throw a little curveball your question. So would you be more like, if you had to categorize your marketing passion, right? Are you more of a, hey, online marketer or boots on the ground type marketer? Which one do you think is more effective?
Can I say both?
Yeah.
Both?
Yeah, I know, right? I know.
You should do both, frankly. Sure. But for me, if I was saying me, it's more of boots on the ground. Yeah. You know, ultimately getting in, introducing yourself to different people, face to face, shaking people's hands, showing them what you do.
Yeah.
You know, that's because there's more control that way. There's more control. You don't know who's going to get your online marketing. You can target email people, and obviously you should.
Sure.
It's kind of you should take two different approach. That's more of a straight approach versus a scattered approach online.
Yeah, yeah, and I definitely love the answer because I agree 100%. You should do both.
Yes.
And I enjoy both. I personally do. I really enjoy the relationship, building the relationship with, potential new customers. I think the relationship will carry you a lot further in business. And so I really like the relationship aspect of it.
Totally. Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, man, Andrew, I appreciate your time. I know you're a busy guy, 17 meetings. Oh my gosh. I thought I had a busy day with 5 meetings. So, anyway, I'll let you go. Maybe I can get you out here a little bit early and you can enjoy some coffee or something before your next meeting. So I appreciate it. And, thank you very much.
No problem, Donnie. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. Now, hey guys, if y'all are still watching, that tells me that you love what you're hearing. I need you to do me a favor and like and subscribe. Go to our YouTube channel. If you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple, then man, if you could give us a review, but go to YouTube, share that out, and help us get this out to any new business owner. That's what we're looking for on this episode, to give them just this beginning mindset. Any new business owner, share this out to them. We'll see you later next on The Biz Life.